What were the highlights this year? What were the hardest parts of the year for you? What did you learn about yourself over the last 12 months? What are you going to stop doing in the coming year? What are you going to start doing in the coming year? What are you going to continue doing in the coming year? What can you do today to take the first step in that set of directions? Let me tell you something. You have picked a winner. I want to welcome you to the Mel Robbins podcast family. I love that you're here for this because you know what this tells me? It tells me you're the kind of person that not only values your time, but you want to make next year one of the best years of your life. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to walk you through 7 questions that will help you audit the last 12 months of your life. Because one of the things that I've noticed over the years is that everybody makes the same mistake. Whether they're making New Year's resolutions or they're setting goals for the next year or they're doing business planning, we're so obsessed with looking ahead and manifesting and setting goals and wiping the slate clean that we jump over one of the most powerful and important and critical parts of planning. And what is that thing that is critical? It's understanding where you are right now. See, if you just simply look ahead, you're gonna be like, oh, I wanna do this and I wanna do that and I wanna do the other thing. But you're missing all the wisdom from the last 12 months. In fact, I guarantee you, because I'm going to prove it to you, when I ask you these 7 questions, you don't even remember 95% of the things that happened in the last 12 months. Me either. This process is going to help you review what happened and all the experiences, the highs, the lows, the lessons, the wins, the losses. And we're going to pull it all together and you're going to go, oh my gosh, wow. And from that place, you're going to be able to create a set of directions for how you make your next year the single best year of your life. Have you ever had the experience where, you're trying to find a friend's house, right? And maybe you've never been there before and you're a little lost. And so you call your friend and you're like, I know I'm close, but how do I get to your house? Can you help me? Can you help me get there? What's the first thing they ask you? Can you tell me where you are? The reason why somebody asks you, where are you, is because mathematically speaking, it's impossible to give somebody directions unless we know 2 things. Where are you and where do you want to go? I'm going to walk you through this process that helps you understand exactly where you are. Because when you're really present to everything you've learned and experienced these last 12 months of your life, you not only know exactly who you are and where you are, you're going to be very clear about what you want and what you don't want. Just jump in with question number 1. Describe the highlights from the past year of your life. What were the highlights? Now, if you stop and think, you're like, okay, what were the highlights? You don't remember them all. And this is where your camera roll comes in, okay? So if I take out my camera roll, and I'm gonna do it right now, I have resisted the urge to look through my camera roll because I wanted to actually do this with you. And I'm going to put into my search right now. Let's see. Let's go to January. Oh my gosh. Already. Wow. I started the year visiting my daughter in California. I completely there I am with my best friend from elementary school, Jody. There's a photo of us. We're in Santa Monica. I completely forgot about that. Oh, whoa. There's Jamie Kern Lima. I'm visiting my pal. Oh my gosh. Oakley was still in high school. And there he is at a ski race. Completely forgot that ski season was a year ago, and I actually made it to a couple of them. Oh, there I am. I'm getting my hair dyed. Oh, I went out to dinner with friends. Oh, there's my friend's new puppy. There's a lot that I forgot. And you want to know what this shows me? It shows me that time with family matters. Do you see how excited I got as I was talking about these celebrations and these memories? And you want to know what else that shows me? It shows me how excited I got about all the new things that I did. The question is, what are the highlights? And I'm seeing a lot of highlights. What happens is it reminds you of what brings you joy. And if you don't see a lot of highlights, that's okay. That's okay, because that's data and it's something you can change. I'll give you one other highlight. On my phone, there were a tremendous number of flowers that I stopped and took photos of. And a highlight for me is that I had, for the first time in my life, I had planted a cutting garden, which basically means I had taken the time to plant a ton of tulip bulbs last spring, and this year they bloomed. And there were so many photos. Like, I'm literally obsessed with flowers. And what does that tell me? Well, the reason why highlights are important is the things that make you smile, the things that make you look back with fondness. It's not just the accomplishments. It's the things that make your heart warm. And that's important data. And that brings me to the second question that you're going to ask yourself. And you're going to be able to answer this very quickly because you're going to have just scrolled through all of your photos and through your calendar. And that second question is, what were some of the hardest parts this year? Now, last year, the hardest parts for me is that I was in full-blown menopause. I felt like I was a Twinkie on two legs in terms of my waist was gone, my pants didn't fit. I had like a fanny pack around my front, only it wasn't a fanny pack. It was actually my stomach filling out my pants. And I just felt completely disempowered. The other low point, other than my health, and this is also part of my health, the other thing that was very difficult for me is our daughter Sawyer went through the most painful and devastating breakup of her life. And she was profoundly depressed and heartbroken. And it is extremely difficult to watch somebody that you love process something like that because you can't fix it for them. Like, the hardest thing about grief and heartbreak is you got to go through it. It was also very hard to watch our son Oak apply to a bunch of colleges and just get no from the 3 top schools he was interested in. And again, you can't fix it. And it's a really important thing in life to not get what you want, honestly, because it makes you realize what's worth working for. It makes you realize what's important, makes you realize nothing's guaranteed. And Kendall had a very hard year too at points where she was just very down on herself and questioning whether or not being in the music industry was something she was ever going to be successful at. And yet again, do you see the lesson life is teaching me? That I can't rescue someone from their challenges. In fact, when you try to, and this is what I learned, and it was kind of a gift now that I think about it, because as all this was going on, I'm writing the Let Them Theory. And it led to an entire section about how when people in your life are struggling, you have to let them, because they're capable of facing these challenges in life. And when you try to rescue people from the natural consequences of life and their decisions, and when you try to rescue people from, what life is trying to teach you, they tend to drown. So it was very hard for me to go, okay, let them. And let me just focus on providing the support and believing in their ability to face this and to get through it. You know what? It works. I'm sharing all this with you because what's going to be on your list is personal. And what it teaches you is personal. But it's also powerful. It's so powerful. I can't wait to hear what you find when you look back and you ask these questions. And that brings me to the third question. What did you learn about yourself this year? Like, for real. And I want you to really look at both the highs and the lows. The things that you accomplished and the things that you didn't. I want you to look at what made you super happy and brought you a lot of joy. And I want you to think about the things that were really challenging or broke your heart or that made you scared. Because regardless of whether it felt good or bad, I guarantee you, it taught you something. Guarantee you learned something about yourself. Like, what you learn about yourself is incredibly important, because I truly believe that anywhere in your life where you're feeling friction, and that's what I felt a lot at work, like this friction and this tension between the role I was playing when I sit here and I talk to you on the podcast and the role I have to play when it comes to building the team and managing the teams and looking at the P&Ls and like running the revenue and figuring out the operations and worrying about the leases. And oh my God, I just want to throw up when I think about this stuff. I'm horrible at it. And it makes me feel this like friction. Any area of your life this year where you have felt friction or frustration, you're in the wrong role. Another thing I learned about myself, I want more time with my family, especially my parents. Like, I made that a priority this year and I still did not see them enough. Do you see how looking backwards helps you create specific directions that will help you go forward? That's why this audit is so critical to you creating a plan that makes this next year the best year of your life. And so keep in mind that as you go through these questions, you're probably going to keep going back and being like, oh yeah, that was a low. Oh yeah, that was a high. Oh yeah, I did learn this thing about myself. And that's why I just love this audit process, because you're really cool and you're multidimensional and you're a lot smarter than you give yourself credit for. And you've learned a lot about yourself and you're much wiser than you kind of realize. And we fall into this trap of just kind of getting through the day to day and staying on the surface. And when you really hit the brakes and you give yourself time to take a look back and consider how you feel and how things impacted you, I think you're going to be shocked at what you actually know to be true about yourself. Now I can ask you, what are you going to stop doing in the coming year? And this question, and in fact, the next 3 questions come from a very simple planning tool that businesses have been using forever. I mean, I'm talking like Harvard Business School, the world's leading brands, the most sophisticated executive teams of publicly traded companies, the best coaches on the planet use this tool just called Stop, Start, Continue. It just cuts right through the BS and helps you focus on what is it that I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? And what am I going to continue doing? Because we often forget when we're setting goals, continue. What am I going to continue doing? And you're not going to forget that part because we're using these 7 questions. That's it.